tonight. Today we're going to be talking about three things. Our learning objective. This is our learning objective. Our learning objective will be new driver advice. Our next learning objective will be using steering efficiently. And our third objective will be what makes a good driving instructor. This is from the student's perspective. Let's go ahead and get it. First, I want to welcome you in. I am a state certified driving instructor. I teach teens and adults. We're in a car right now. We just finished our driver's education lessons for the evening. I worked a 10-hour shift. I drove adults and I drove teens. So I'm going to take you through the process of what you need to do. So let's hit this first objective. New driver advice. If you're a new driver, that's someone with less than 10 years experience, you need to hear this. The first thing, new drivers do a lot of traffic light driving at first. What does this mean? They're not really actively driving. They see a light, it's clear, it's green, they proceed through. They see a light, it's clear, it's yellow, they're cautioned. They see a light, it's red, they stop. But to add the environmental factors, we're talking about pedestrians who could be jaywalking. They walk not where the crosswalk is. Talk about people riding bikes. If you're riding a bike, you should be riding the bike with the flow of the traffic. A lot of pedestrians walk with their back to traffic. That is against the law. They should be walking toward traffic so they can be seen. If bicyclists are riding toward traffic, that is against the law. Bicyclists should be riding with the flow of the traffic. Next, for new advice, once you're learning, you need to watch others as they continue to learn. When you're a beginning driver, you should be looking at my content. You should be looking at your mom. You should be looking at your dad. You should be looking at your loved one to ask questions. And if you have questions, you need to put those in. Next, continue to study yield right of way at intersections. Intersections are the most dangerous place. Why? People are walking, cars are making left turns, right turns, there's cross traffic. The thing I want to remind you, when bicyclists are riding with the flow of the traffic and we're making a right turn, what I need you to understand is you need to look before you make your right. It is called the right hook, not where you're fighting someone and hit them with the hand, but if you make a right turn and don't look, you could literally hit a bicyclist and run them over. That is called the right hook. Next, thank you. Next, I want to tell you there's the left cross. This is the left cross. That's my left hand. We're not doing a fighting lesson, but we're trying to fight for the safety of bicyclists. Bicyclists who are coming across your left, they're going from right to left. If you don't look when you're making a left turn, you're literally going to hit them, and that is that left cross. You got to really be careful. Next, you need to use the Big Five strategy, and I'm going to go over the Big Five strategy right now. First, concentrate. No phone, no texting. We all love the text. We all love to be on the phone, but the most important thing is you focus on driving right now. So put down that phone. Next, look while turning. It may seem really simple, but let's pretend I'm making a right turn. I'm turning hand over hand, and I have to look where I'm going. If I don't look where I'm going, I'm going to go in the wrong lane. I'm not going to go in the lane. I'm going to hit a curb. I'm going to hit someone. I'm going to hit a car. I'm going to hit the telephone pole. Look where you're going. Also, when you are backing up, you have to look out of your back window. In some cases, when you take your test, they may or may not allow you to use your backup camera. Your best backup camera are your beautiful eyes. So you have to look out of your back window when you back up. It's extremely important that you look and be aware of the area behind you. Just as I'm looking, you put your right arm on the seat and this turns your body and you look. I need you to do that when you're backing up. Next, when you are learning how to change lanes, you've got to look over your shoulder. If you're making a lane change to the right, you're holding your steering wheel at 9 or 3 or 10 and 2 or 7 and 5. You've got to look over your shoulder and check your blind spot. This is my right. I check my right blind spot. This is my left. I check my left blind spot. Don't be scared to look. Next, beginning drivers have to practice having good speed control. It takes time. If the speed limit is 50, most beginning drivers are about 45. If that, they may be driving at 40. If you're 5 under, 10 under, you could become a hazard. And if you're taking your road test, you will be penalized. Listen to me, drivers. I'm not saying drive a mile or 2 under, but when you're more than 5 under, 7 under, 10 under, you now become a hazard. And a lot of drivers want to get around you. They don't want to wait, so they're going to tailgate you aggressively. Next, have a lot of following distance. Beginning drivers tend to tailgate. They tend to focus on the car ahead of them instead of relaxing and seeing the big picture. I need you to see the big picture. What does this mean? You're in a neighborhood. There's a kid. There's a lady walking. There's a basketball. There's a car backing up. Be aware, stay safe, and look around your driving environment. If you're in a neighborhood, little kids, people backing out, people cutting grass. If you're in a school area, your favorite teacher, kids speeding out of the parking lot, leaving on 2 wheels, 3 wheels, 1 wheel. They are clowning in the parking lot. You have got to be careful. Next, stop earlier, slow down, cover your brake. I have about 74 people in here. If this is bringing you value, give it a thumbs up. That's really important that we push this content out to all drivers who want to learn. And I only want you to follow this and subscribe and look at it if you want to learn how to drive. I'm a state certified driving instructor. I teach adults. I teach teens. Driving is a very serious responsibility. There are a lot of people 18 to 36 who did not get good coaching, who did not get good training. This is for you. And I want to continue why we are following our lesson target, our learning target, our objective, new driver advice. We want to continue. Stay with me. Beginning drivers, you need to have a lot of room when you pull out into traffic. What does this mean? A lot of drivers have a difficult time judging traffic from the left. If I'm making a right turn, I've got to come up to the corner, pause, stop, look. If I don't look long enough, I'm going to pull out in front of a car. You're injured, I'm injured, we're injured. Take your time, judge traffic. Are they 2 cars away, 3 cars away, 5 cars away? You've got to be able to judge traffic, and when it's clear, you pull out and make the turn in the nearest lane, L-A-N-G. Do not turn wide, turn into the nearest lane. Do not scare the parents. When you're driving, if you scare your parents, they're not going to want to drive with you anymore. They don't want to drive with you anymore. By me being a state certified driving instructor, I have a brake in the car. I have a dual mirror. I am trained to help people who do not know how to drive. Your mom and dad are not. So if you come out of pocket, making a left turn in front of a car, in front of a truck, almost hitting a pedestrian, your parents are done. D-O-N-E. You're out of pocket. They don't want to drive with you anymore. So you need to learn what to do, what not to do. This is why you need to be looking at my content. You need to be asking questions. You need to really think about it. Let's continue. Beginning drivers need a lot of verbal instruction. I need you to make a right turn at the next street. I need you to get over to the left lane. Slow down. When it's clear, I need you to turn by the double yellow. If your mom and dad or your driving instructor are not telling you what to do, you're going to crash. I'll say it again. If your mom and dad or your driving coach is not telling you what to do, you will crash. We don't want to hope you're safe. We want to make sure you are safe. I'm saying this from an instructor. I'm saying this from your coach. I'm saying this from your dad. I'm saying this from your uncle. I take a lot of pride in caring and nurturing and humility when I teach my students how to drive, or when you look at some of my content, whether it's in car, in class, when you're reviewing. I'm currently in the driver's education car right now. Lessons are done. We're having our lesson. We're hitting our learning targets, which are new driver advice. This is an actual class. I'm not someone playing on the internet. I'm a state certified and driving instructor who lives in the Midwest, and I'm taking the time at the end of my day or the beginning of my day to explain what you need to know. Let's continue. You got to have verbal instructions. Do not assume they know everything. You as a beginner, you don't know about roundabouts. You don't know how to merge on an expressway. You do not know how to do a 3-point turnaround. You do not know how to parallel park in downtown Chicago, downtown Detroit, downtown Houston, Texas, downtown Los Angeles, California, where you run around the block 4 times and there's 1 parallel parking spot. You only have 5 seconds, 8 seconds, 10 at max to get your parallel parking spot, or you lose it. So it's critical that you listen to me. Next, let's talk about using efficient steering techniques. There is a lot of controversy about hand over hand, hand to hand, 9 and 3, 7 and 5, 10 and 6. You need to find a hand position that works for you. I'm 6'4". I weigh 260. I have very long arms. 10 and 2 might not be ergonomically effective for me. 9 and 3 might not be effective for me. 7 and 5, based on the AAA case study, they said 7 and 5 tends to be the safest because there's an airbag in the middle of the steering wheel. We want to find a hand position that works for your body. Some of you are 6 feet. Some of you are 5'5". Some of you are 4'11". Some of you are 6'8". Everyone is different. So I had a student who had one hand, and I taught him how to drive. And he drives better than all of you. I guarantee it. Crash statistics indicate that driver errors involving steering techniques are the main causes of crashes when going off-road. We're learning about using efficient steering techniques. I'm not reading something random. And take this class serious. If you're serious, you'll listen. If you're not, you'll crack jokes. At the end of the day, I'm covering state certified case studies that you can apply in most concepts. So let's keep going. Methods used to control steering input for drivers are often outdated and inefficient. You can do your Google search. You can do an AI search. You're going to get 10 different things. You need to use the most efficient and safest way to turn the steering wheel that works for you. You're going to learn from me. You're going to learn from your dad. You're going to learn from your mom. You're going to learn from driving on a computer-related simulator. Modern techniques is always changing. The demands of driving steering techniques also change. The steering wheel. We're talking about a round steering wheel. None of you are driving the Tesla. None of you are driving the high-end model that costs $120K. That has the yoke, and that's a whole new animal. We're talking about a round steering wheel. Most of you drive a round steering wheel. I'm being a little funny, but I'm serious. The steering wheel and associated mechanisms have dramatically changed over the years. The size, the type of input, the responsiveness of steering regarding directional change, and steering ratios and effort needed to turn have also changed because steering wheel technology changes. Currently, I'm in a car right now with electronic steering. It drives different than a traditional gear drive that has hydraulic pumps. Oh, I didn't think about that. You need to listen. In order to maximize, and I always try to have my students maximize because everyone's a little bit different. Some kids squeeze the wheel. Some kids barely hold the wheel. Some adults try to drive with one hand. I want you to maximize your control. As an instructor, I always think about control and safety. That's the most important thing. That's why we stay consistent. In order to maximize vehicle control, efficient steering involves balancing the steering wheel to avoid sudden movements and minimize steering wheel reversals. That's where you're going to snap your wrist. That's where you could damage yourself. Hand position. What I'm about to say is very controversial, but I'm not scared to talk about things that are controversial, and they need to be discussed in this open forum. And if you learn differently, or if you're taught differently, put it in as a question. I am open-minded enough, and I am a patriot. I understand that we all learn differently. If you're in South America, you're gonna learn differently than if you're in Africa. If you're in Africa, you're gonna learn differently than when you're in India. If you're in Australia, you're gonna learn differently than if you're in Hawaii. We all have to keep those differences in mind. Let's continue. Both hands should be placed outside of the steering wheel, opposite sides. That's what I'm reading. Your grip should be firm yet gentle. From what I've seen, people who are tense, they squeeze the wheel. Relax your grip. If a student overturns, my job is to prevent a crash. My job is to help you become successful. A lot of beginners lock up on the wheel. They squeeze it with their shoulders, the wrist, and they squeeze it with their hand. Therefore, I can't help you. If you turn short, the car will go over the curb. Automatic failure. Or if you turn too wide and hit the gas, the car's going to veer to the left out of the lane. You've hit a car. You scared your mom. You failed your tests. So you really need to be listening to me and apply these concepts that I am teaching you. If this is bringing you value, give it a thumbs up. Your grip should be firm yet gentle. Your fingers, instead of the palms of your hand, and keep your thumbs up alongside the face of the steering wheel. You need to become one with the steering wheel. We can get very technical and very granular on this. Never let the steering wheel grip. Never turn the steering wheel while gripping it from the inside of the rim. This is what they mean, because you're going to throw the steering wheel instead of turning it. I've had students do that, and a car jumps from right to left or left to right. So I set standards. Your instructor should be teaching you how to hold the steering wheel, whether it's hand to hand, hand over hand. If you have your hands at the bottom, you're going to make the steering wheel small. If you have your hands at the top, you're going to throw it left or throw it right. So hand placement is critical. We're not playing a video game. We're driving a 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 pound weapon. And I need you to understand this. These are things your instructor should be teaching you. And if he or she is not, they're not doing a good job. I'm going to be thorough as possible and use the most current information I have. Let's continue. Types of steering wheels. There are three methods. Types of steering methods. There are three methods in steering which can be used, and when performed properly can provide smooth, continuous steering. The first one, hand-to-hand steering, commonly called push-pull. When using this method, the left hand grasps the wheel at 7 and 8, and the right hand between 4 and 5. Depending upon the direction you turn, your right or left hand pushes the wheel up, and the opposite hand slides up, grasping the wheel and pull down to turn. Those steering wheel methods are very important, and they're going to give you some fundamentals. There's hand to hand, hand over hand. A lot of you are saying palm the wheel. You'll lose control. You're not a gangster. You're not driving out of pocket. I've had clients crash. They palm the wheel. You want to stay consistent when you turn the steering wheel. Let's hit our next learning target. This is our learning target. Let's hit it. You have questions, you put it in. What makes a good driving instructor? Student's perspective. This is where you really need to listen, because you're going to be spending a lot of time and money selecting an instructor, selecting a driving school, and you really want to make sure, does your teacher teach you? Do you have a personality conflict? So this is where you need to listen. This is where you need to put your questions in. Good instructors are patient. They're nice. They don't yell at you when you make a mistake. You will make mistakes. What is the mistake? You're making a right turn, you overturn, the car jumps the curb. Good instructors will just turn the wheel back to the left and keep it moving. They give directions in advance. For example, at the light, I need you to make a left. Also, they use hand directions to determine the left or right. Beginners are very nervous. You're about to laugh. They forget left and right. It may seem so simple, but when you're under pressure or under distress, or there's a lot of pedestrians or cars, or your coach is talking to you, you forget. And I understand. So I point. I need you to go to the left. I need you to go to the right to help you visualize what you're supposed to do. Good instructors don't make last-minute decisions. For example, turn right. No, turn left. They make conversation with you. They help you connect. They use visual demonstrations. For example, demonstrating by having us sit in a car and she moves around the seat until we cannot see the mirror. Then she has us look over our blind spot. In classroom, he or she uses steering wheels that show us what she is talking about and what he or she is trying to teach you. Good instructors have that steering wheel. Good instructors have computer prepped games, which I have. They are considerate. Maybe you can't drive at 7:30. Maybe you work. Maybe you're going to have to change it to 9:30. Good instructors share stories to help you connect. I had a student today merging on the expressway. The first time out, about 45, too slow. The second time out, about 55. Okay, the third time out, 65. You have to be patient. And if your instructor's not patient and screaming at you, you're going to lock up. They're a fun teacher. The good thing I want to tell you, I have a good sense of humor. I'm always smiling because it's true to my heart. And those of you who know me, yep, that's him. He's true. And I'm going to stay consistent. I'm not going to change who I am because people say ignorant comments online. They're always hiding behind the computer, but a true warrior speaks from their heart. And I had a lot of positive comments because I practice what I preach. Good instructors on the road, they're very calm. They give you advice on how to improve your driving skills. This is why you're here. This is why you're listening. This is why I'm here. I could have been done an hour ago, but I'm taking the time to go over our learning targets. And this is what makes a good driving instructor from the student's perspective. And as you listen to this, you need to think, is my instructor really good? Or is he or she just going through the motions? Are they really teaching me? Let's continue. Good instructors give you positive reinforcement. That's a great job. You did good. You covered the brake. That kid ran out. Did you see Grandma? She didn't even see us. Next, they always remind you to do things constantly. Whenever you take the time to listen, I'm always positive. I'm always upbeat. I'm not going to blame anyone if I don't have a good day. We are in charge of our own emotions and our own behavior. Next, they always allow you to fix your mistakes and figure out what you did wrong. That makes a good instructor an elite instructor. And I'm telling you this because I try to live it every single day. My message is the same. Listen to your instructor. Ask questions. Let's continue. In the classroom, they interact with students. They let you leave on time. They let us make mistakes. They help us figure out things, and they answer our questions. The questions that I had tonight: good night, bravo, I always write with one hand, sir. That's random. That's out of pocket. If you have real questions, you put it in. Good instructors use their hands to show where to look, where to turn, because I know you're nervous. Let's continue. This is what makes a good driving teacher from the student's perspective. They make jokes and make you feel comfortable. We always have to be happy. We can't worry about others. There's no awkward silence in the classroom or in the car. In the classroom, they play games, they use physical demonstrations, they also allow you to move. Sitting for 2 hours is a long time. So I get students up, we interact. They treat you like an adult, and they talk to you like an adult, because driving is not for kids. Al put in, I always ride with one hand. Al, you're going to crash. Al is out of pocket. So don't be random. Next, they give us candy when we play games or answer questions correctly. Students love Takis. They'll do anything for Takis. Pizza, ice cream. Let us talk to one another quietly while we're working on our sheets. In the car, they allow us to listen to the radio. In the classroom, a teacher is funny, uses diagrams, and lets us demonstrate and use the materials. This is what makes a good driving teacher from the student's perspective. If you have questions, you need to put them in. Let's review what I went over. We talked about our learning targets. Our first learning target was new driver advice. Beginning drivers do a lot of light traffic at first. They watch others to learn how to drive. They continue to study left and right, yield and left and right intersections. They use the big five. What is the big five? Concentrate, no text or phone. You need to look into your turns. If you're going right, I should see you looking to the right. If you're going to the left, I should see you looking to the left. Don't scare parents. They need a lot of time and room to pull out in front of traffic. Beginning drivers don't judge traffic very well, so you have to take your time. They need verbal instructions. And those of you who are taking the time to listen, you're like, I need this. You do need this. If this is bringing you value, you need to give it a thumbs up. You need to subscribe to the channel, because I want to go live as much as I can to connect with you, to help you learn how to drive. If you have questions, you put those in. Next, we talked about using efficient steering techniques. We talked about the steering wheel. We talked about hand positioning. We talked about steering methods. And then we talked about hand-to-hand, commonly called push-pull. Lastly, we talked about what makes a good driving teacher. They're patient. They treat you like an adult. I want to say thank you. If this brought you value, subscribe. Consistency leaves facts. And I want to say thank you. Bye.